Some small businesses can't afford a directory listing, but they have skills and they have talent. Their talent matches the hard work and the know-how. Their workplace can be from the kitchen or a van. The business might be set up in a home or a garage. You don't find these providers listed in a book directory, but you can find them on eqicaribbean.com, the online tool you'll need to search for products and services. Because as long as you are searching, we'll be here to list them.
Yes, we are here again, court in session. I am now with Avenger number 2 and the Bajan Scout. On assignment is Avenger number 1, Tyrone King. I hope he have a good assignment. We'll see what happens when he returns. Right. So today we'll go straight from we'll go straight to the West, and Avenger number 2, you could come with what's happening in the West.
Start with the usual, trending down and trending up. Trending down, we have our lovely friends, the Thunder, who are doing a very good job of tanking. They have lost 6 games in a row, but they have a lot of guys out due to injury, like Dort and some main guys in their rotation. But I'm sure that the Thunder do not mind that at all. As long as they keep reckoning at their losses, they are fine with that. With the trending up, we have the Grizzlies and the Warriors kind of battling for that second spot, in my opinion. I don't think that they'll catch the number 1 Suns, but they have both won 4 games in a row. So, they're just basically trying to get that second seed to roll. In terms of the overall standings, it's actually pretty much the same from last week. I don't think anybody moved. As far as I remember, no, I don't think anybody moved. My player of the week, I got a big man from the Timberwolves, Karl Anthony Towns. He averaged 27, 13, and he had a 60-piece the other night against the Spurs franchise record and a career high. He was on fire. Like he could throw it backwards from half court. It was going in. He could have done anything. It was going in. My team of the week is the Warriors because they thought they had a very good week. They beat the Nuggets and the Bucks. And I think that's one of the little segments I have here in the West. The Warriors almost at full strength. They're still missing James Wiseman, but he is on assignment with the G League and he's had some games in, so he should soon be back. But Draymond came back the other day. He didn't start, but that's just them monitoring their minutes. It's not like they intend to bring Draymond off the bench in any way, form, or fashion. That they beat the Bucks pretty well. Clay and Curry had a good games. You could just see the impact that he just makes them. Like obviously Curry is still the best player on the team, but when he is on the court, he just carries them to a whole nother that championship level. And he will barely have like 2.6 rebounds and like 5 assists, and all of a sudden he plus minus is like plus 30 because he just do so much other things that's made everybody go. But speaking of Warriors, I could talk about team that's right above them, the number 1 seeded Suns, who, despite losing Chris Paul, have Chris Paul 2.0 apparently as their backup replacement because campaign and doing his best Chris Paul impersonation is averaging 15 points and 9.6 assists starting for the name for Chris Paul. Only averaging 2.4 turnovers per game. So like he's doing a very good job. They're still winning games, even if it's not as dominant as before, even though they dominated the Lakers. But then again, who hasn't? Even if it wasn't as dominant as before, he's still doing a very good job, and it'd be even better for them when Chris Paul comes back. They still have a very solid / almost starter level guard as their backup. Another thing that I want to talk about that piqued my interest, and I was thinking about this even from last year, the playing format, right? Now, obviously, when Adam Silver came up with the playing format, I don't think he expected the playing format to have Steph Curry 1 year, then maybe KD and Curry the next year, and then James and then LeBron in 2 back-to-back years. But in terms of the playing format, the first year they minded because obviously they were trying to make up for the 10 games that they would lose when it was only 72 games. Then the second year they had it, and yeah, it was good for entertainment because that was Braun and Curry in the playing game. Realistically, I don't like how the format is 100% because I feel like you have to be in a certain amount of games in order for it to activate. Like the Clippers are the AFC, right? And I think they're 36 and 34 or something like that. And the Timberwolves are like 40 and 30 or 39 and 30, right? I don't think they should be put in 1 game or 2 game situations when the Lakers are 10 games behind them. Like is like 10 games under 500. Like I think that you should be like within 3 or so games in order for it to actually activate, because at this point, what was the 82 games for? I mean, like, and I know people naturally will say, oh, but as the better team, they should think. We all know that in the NBA, you could have 2 off nights or 1 off night, and all of a sudden, the worst team in the league could actually beat one of the best teams in the league. It has happened before in this season. So I just think that it should be a little closer before it activates, because really and truly, the Lakers have no right even having a chance to be in the playoffs, in my opinion. That's just me. Laker fans might think different.
Even if you're a Laker fan, I mean, you got to be a realist. There are 29 and 39, and 29 and 39 cannot ever be seen as great, right?
Yeah.
You understand? So I don't think your assessment has some merit. Yeah, I see that the Timberwolves is 40 and 30.
Yeah, really.
Right, and then after that is the Clippers 36 and 35. But remember, there's a clause: somebody got to win 2 games and somebody got to win 1 or something like that. So,
Yeah.
So I will go look back at that.
I think it. Yeah. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, because I think what you're saying is that the play-in should really only activate if the 9th and 10th seeds are at least closer in record, maybe within 3 or 5 games of the AFC. I hear what you're saying. I mean, to me, it makes sense on the surface, but in terms of rules, I mean, you have people right now that seem to be very confused of how the play-in system works, and it's just it's pretty simple to me right now. If you add those little caveats, yeah, it makes sense logically, but I just think it's going to make things very complicated and very confusing for the average fan. So I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
it has merit, but I think Silvers is just going to want to keep things nice and simple. And if keeping it simple leads to the Lakers being the play-in, I think he sees it as a win-win in any case. So
probably.
Yeah.
I just
Lakers,
want the good teams
Lakers as in
playoffs.
Lakers as in LA, not really this.
All things being equal, if there's that much a difference between those teams, Lakers probably should lose that game, that play game in any case. So
yeah,
but I mean, when you have Braun who's showing that if he could drop 50 in a game, he has a chance. I know it's a long shot, but because it's not a series. If it was a series, obviously, hey, Lakers, I don't have no. But like in a 1 game, then the 9 seed they would have to win the 9-10 match, and then the loser of the 8-7, because it's like if the 7 seed win, obviously they go through, the 8 seed win, they go through, but the 9 and the 10 they have to fight and then face the loser for the last spot. So like in a 1 game, like Braun hit 50. And they hit another 40, and then he's in the playoffs. So, I mean,
for the privilege to be strapped by.
Yeah.
It almost makes the 82 games almost feel like irrelevant. Like, so I don't know, but that's but you did make a good point. It might be slightly complicated because even up to last year, people didn't fully understand how the playing system even works. So yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Right. So that's the West. But then there's the East, and the East had some nice pieces happening in the last week. First thing, Brooklyn, just went down to I think it was Philadelphia, but I went to Philadelphia and beat up Philadelphia.
Very
And,
badly.
and they were, a lot of, there was something with KD and KD saying that that the mirror has to figure it out and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's a mistake on his part, but that's only me. I know politicians don't like to be called out, right?
Yeah.
And when they get called out, there's always things to go the opposite way. So I really feel that he erred in calling out the mayor. Because really, it wasn't the mayor that really came up with that rule, really.
He had to bring out a statement. I think he brought out a statement after saying that the mayor is actually doing a good job and things. So that lets you know that he said something that he probably
he did. That was the smartest thing.
Yeah.
And then
he was hot coming off the game, after the game, feeling good, You thinking you forget that this whole politics is a whole different game altogether,
whole different game altogether.
You play a different type of aggression.
Yeah. So then in next game, Curry then went to town, and he also had a big game, and
his own 60.
And right now, and if you thought that Carolina Towns could throw the ocean from a boat, you can imagine Curry was like, and it was fairly efficient. So
Right.
the Brooklyn Nets now starting to look like how we thought they would look, but they still have one of their pieces missing, which is Ben Simmons, and apparently he has some
good old Ben Simmons tracker.
Yeah, well, the L4, his L4 now is inflamed apparently, so he has problem with his back. But the East now starting to, you notice that Cleveland took a slide. Now Cleveland now is in 6th spot. They were as high as 3 at one stage. So,
just a game ahead of the Raptors now.
Right. So just the Raptors, right. So
Jared Allen has been out, so that might have caused something. So it started to shake out that the top 6 will be, it will be fairly decent. I wouldn't want to play Brooklyn Nets in any play in, play off, play out. I don't really want. I would not want to play the Nets. But
I don't think Toronto will mind seeing them.
Yeah, because no
because Curry will be able to play at all.
Exactly.
But also, you have to tell you that a lot of restrictions getting rolled back in Canada as well, because they have don't want you to have you don't have to take a test before you get to Canada. So some of the things start to roll back. So maybe by the time playoff comes, Canada might be saying, okay, no problem. Somebody that ain't vaccinated can come unless if they take a test or something. So that is where the East is right now. I look at the Celtics. I'm really impressed how the Celtics play. Because at one stage the Celtics looked like they were not even going to make the playoffs. I know they are actually there.
Just behind the Bulls.
Have the same record. Bulls actually. Then Bulls and 76ers have the same record.
Yep.
So it is. So they are really now starting to play the Boston Celtics. And Philadelphia. Well, Philadelphia is Philadelphia, so we'll see how that goes. You saw a game.
They have a little tough schedule coming up, though.
Pardon me?
They actually have like a tough little schedule coming up. I think like they have to face like the Bucks, the Suns, the Raptors. I think the Warriors. I think like they have a tough little slate that is coming up, like 5 or so games are coming up. So they may actually drop a little further in the standings.
Philadelphia, to me, we saw a glimpse of playoff Harding. So I will really wait to see how that will shake out. In the beginning, everybody was saying how great it is, the best duo in the NBA, all that sort of stuff. But on the game that matters, Harden was a no-show. So we will see how that is going forward. And also we will see how Ben does in Brooklyn. Because as it stands now, he may only play a couple of games before the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But the East,
I think James Harden should be okay. I think the difference with his playoff struggles in the past, he was the best player on those teams and had to be. I think in this one, Joel is definitely the best player. I think with him not having that full pressure is going to make it a little easier for him. I mean, that game against the Nets, I mean, they just lost badly. The whole team really didn't play well overall. So I won't really put that on him specifically. But I think in the playoffs, I think given that he won't have the full pressure on him as having to be the number one option, I think he may pull through house some better performances. But time will tell.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That game against Nuggets. That was also another good game. I don't know, man. I don't know. He got a reputation. I don't know.
Well, we'll see going forward. So that's basically Eastern and shakedown right there. Well, the Washington Wizards and the New York Knicks, those are also ras. So they will be, we'll talk about them in the off season. But that will be the East. And now we will go over to the Bajan Scout, and he will give us one of his tidbits in fantasy.
Yeah, so we heard about campaign earlier on the tier that he's been on, but from what I'm seeing, he's still not registered or picked up in a lot of leagues. So if he's available in your league, you definitely need to pick him up. He's been playing extremely well, filling in for Chris Paul. Also, someone who's really been playing extremely well, Trenton Watford from the Portland Trail Blazers. He's been averaging about 24 points and 6 boards over the last week. The Blazers are still have a little bit of hope to get into the play-in, so still have a bit to play for, but the young guy's playing extremely well. So those are two guys you definitely should pick up right now for your fantasy team, and they seem to be widely available.
Okay, all right. I'm still in the minute table, and I don't even know if they can help me, but I will make sure I take a look and see what's happening there. But that's the fantasy with the Bajan Scout. And now we go to At the Line. And At the Line tonight, we are talking about MVP. Some say LeBron. Some, notice I say some. Some say LeBron, Jokic, Giannis, Embiid. Who else? Curry. Some people say Curry.
Yeah.
Right? But I want to know who you think, if the season was to finish tonight, who you think should be MVP? And I'll go with you first there, Avenger number 2.
Me, I could go with Jokic. I don't think that is just the advanced stats where he leaves to the 3 top guys, in my opinion, who are Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis. It's not just the advanced stat, even though he's leading in like 30 or 40 categories, or to the 3 of them. If you watch Jokic, like if you watch the Nuggets, you can see he is literally their everything. Like the offense runs through him. He's the best passing big man we've ever seen. He's actually one of the best passers we've ever seen. Not even to just limit him to big man. He's one of the best passers we've ever seen, guard, forward, like period. And the amount of burden that he had to carry compared to the others, he literally didn't have his second or third best player for the entire season. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. played the first, I think, 5 or 6 games, but you could even see at the beginning that he like something was off about him, and then you found out it was his back. Both of them should be coming back. Michael Butterjeen was already on G League assignment, and Maria soon took to be on G League assignment. So them coming back and they're winning more games may even strengthen Jokic's case a little bit more, because in terms of standings, I think they all have like either the same amount of wins or like are separated by like 1 win. So like I know people were using that the 76ers had a better record to help Embiid's case at first, but I don't think you could really use that anymore, because I think the Nuggets have either the same amount of wins or one more win.
Yeah, identical record.
Exactly, and it also helps Jokic's case where he beat the head-to-head matchup against the 76ers just a couple of days ago. So that might be fresh in some of the voters' mind. But I think the mistake people have is that you can have an MVP type season and still not win MVP. That doesn't diminish you as a player, because Giannis has had many MVP type seasons, but the last two he hasn't necessarily won. So I think people are kind of sleeping on Giannis. I know it's Jokic and Embiid is the two main choices, but Giannis is having an incredible season. I think his stats are almost the same as Embiid, and I think he averages more assists and is more efficient. So I'm going with Jokic, but you know, if you pick Embiid, if Embiid win or Giannis win, is actually not that big of a deal. I think all three of them are kind of close still.
What about you, Bajan Scout? What do you think?
Yeah, I think last season, a lot of people thought that if Embiid had not gotten hurt, that he would have won the MVP over Jokic. He's managed to stay healthy this year, but I think Jokic has separated himself this year as the MVP. Based on a lot of metrics people use, strength of team, advanced stats, pure stats, how he performs on a team without other superstars, if he's the main option. He has a lot going for him. I don't think he'd do it. Keon mentioned that Murray and Porter coming back will help his case. I don't think any of that's really necessary. He has a lot going for him right now. So I think he probably would have won it. But yeah, I agree with what Keon also said, that there are a lot of the good guys like Giannis that probably haven't been talked about a lot in this race. Even that guy on the Lakers, LeBron James, yeah, he is having the MVP caliber season, but
yeah,
understandably, with his team being as poor as it is, he's not really going to be mentioned. But if he was traded, say if he was traded maybe to the Brooklyn Nets or something like that, I think he would be in MVP discussion all of a sudden.
No, you're there though, Bajan Scout. What about this idea of that player has to be in a winning side or his team has to be good to be MVP? What about that? Because I'm saying LeBron having like a MVP type year, he dropped 50, a couple of 50 games, and I'm saying that he's 37 years old and he still be able to play at a fairly high level. So I wanted to know how much weight do you put on a good player on a mediocre team? Because really and truly, Lakers mediocre.
Well, trigger warning may not be a very popular opinion here, but MVP is an individual award. I personally don't think it should be tied that closely to team success. I think team success can be a factor, just like how stats are a factor, and there are lots of different factors that go into it. But I honestly think that he should legitimately be maybe a top 4 candidate based on the season he's having for MVP. But I know traditionally in the NBA and the media members, most people in general, they really do, they look at maybe the top 4 teams in each conference and say, okay, who are the best players on these teams? And those are usually people that they think should be the MVP. But you really see it's an individual award. I personally don't think you can really put an MVP. You can, an average or below average player can put an MVP type numbers on a bad or a losing team. LeBron is doing it on a bad team right now, and I think everyone still agrees LeBron is still great. So I think yeah, I think someone on a losing team should be eligible to win MVP.
You there, Avenger number 2. What do you think?
I rate winning a little bit higher than Allen, but I think it's overrated a little too much by media. Because on one hand, last year they were trying to throw like Chris Paul and other people into the MVP because the Suns had the top. Then Chris Paul had a very good season, but I didn't know he wasn't MVP in my opinion. He had Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. My thing also is that the reason why I tell you winning into it a little bit is because at the end of the day, the goal of all these teams is to try to win a championship. And winning games in the regular season obviously helps you to get that in the playoffs. So it does merit some sort of thing, but like not like to the extent where like if a guy has won like 5 games more, but his stats are significantly less than the guy who won 10 less games, that he should be ahead of the person that won less, because the person that won less could have the greatest numbers that we've ever seen, but because a team won 5 to 7 more games and the person leading that team had good stats means that he is the MVP. I don't think that's how it should work. I also think that if your team wins 60 games and you put up like 27 and 10, I would think that you're putting up 27 and 10 would have attributed to them winning the 60 games. So that's why it'd be really hard for you to convince me that a team won 60 games in spite of a man averaging 27 and 10. That just logically, to me, doesn't mean, like, I don't know how that would be possible. But
well, the only thing I would say to that is, sure, I mean, that guy that was on a say 60-70 win team and they win and they have those type of stats is great, but I think I would still give a little bit more to the guy who was on a 55 win team and maybe he averaged 34 points, 5 and 5. I think he probably should be depending on the situation. I think I would probably give him equal weight. I don't think the guy on the 70 win team should be higher in the ranking necessarily than the guy on the 55 win team. That's that's averaging maybe 34 points in the game.
So that's basically how it was kind of like, remember when they had the Giannis and Harden debate when Giannis won, I think he averaged 28, 13 or something and 6, and Harden averaged 30, 36. There were some people that were saying that Harden had a historic season versus Giannis. The thing is, Giannis also had a kind of historic season. Like, nobody don't really put up that sort of numbers, really. But I understand. The thing is, I understand both sides. Like, just because I may agree that one person can be MVP doesn't mean that I don't understand the other side of it. And I think that's the problem with some people. Like, they either understand one side or they don't. So there's no middle ground to maybe try to understand the other side, even if you don't agree with it. So like I can understand the cases for like the person who is lower down, even if I don't think they should be MVP. So I agree that because the argument can be made that a guy on a 44 win team averaging 32 and 32-8 and like 5, if he's not on their team, they probably only win 10 games. So that argument can be made, but just based on how history has already kind of dictated the criteria for the MVP, which seems to change every year. 1 year is more so narrative. 1 year is more so stats. 1 year is more so team record.
I think narrative is always big.
Yeah, narrative is the one thing that thing. But like when they would try to say, oh well, Braun is 37, so that way is like. I saw it was the year between Giannis and Braun. I saw that they were trying to, like, I think one of the voters actually said that LeBron being 37 weighed so much in her vote. Yeah. And I was like, really? Like out of all the things that you say as your main vote, his age, yes, is impressive. But at the end of the day, what the other person was doing, which was Giannis. I mean, come on, like I don't know.
Yeah,
but not his.
Well, I agree with both of y'all. I will go with Jokic as well. And I will really go with Jokic because of the fact that both of his top players were out for a significant period. And he was able to keep Denver afloat with good numbers. He's not only keeping them afloat with average numbers, but with fairly decent numbers. So
Historic.
I will go with Jokic as well. But I understand how the MVP is it is a subjective thing. They're trying to make it objective, but it's still a subjective thing because based on a writer, you know, if a writer writes for the LA Times or something like that, he following LA all over the planet. I mean, I find it hard for him to go and vote for Jokic. So I understand where it's really a subjective thing. But I feel that Jokic, if the season finished today, I think Jokic will get it. If it finishes regular season, I still feel that he would be MVP. So yes, we all agree that Jokic should be MVP for the 21-22 season. Now we go to pick 5. Now last week, some people had some very horrid numbers. I would like to repeat them, but to embarrass anybody, let's just say that Keelan had the best. Keelan had the best turnout last week, and then it was me and other people took it to rear, and I will not say how much they got. They will not say how much they got. But tonight, we will go for. We start with Detroit at Orlando. Bottom feeders playing. Detroit at Orlando.
I tried to laugh, but I forgot I was the only kid.
Hey, Peter's man, you're gonna get the Thursday bonus and love, man. Cheese on. You can't just don't. So,
hey, that might actually somehow be a very good game. To be honest, I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Pistons here. Okay, I'm gonna go with the Pistons, especially if Cade playing. I'm gonna go with you.
And what about you, Alan?
I'll trade Magic here.
Okay, you're trading Magic.
I'll just go the home team.
I am going to be honest with you. I have no clue who to pick, so I will do Inimini, and it seems that Inimini ends me at Detroit. So I go with Detroit, and then on Friday you got 2 games on Friday. The first one is Washington at New York. Washington at New York. Not a beside about the Peters. Washington at New York.
I'm gonna go. Knicks have been playing better of late. I'm gonna go with the Knicks.
So you going with Knicks? Okay, I'm going with the Knicks. What about you, Alan?
Yeah, I go with New York Knicks as well.
Okay, so since everybody going with Knicks, I will go with Washington, just because you gotta give Washington some love. OKC at Miami. OKC at Miami.
You know, Tehran isn't here, but you know, I can fill in and show some love. So I'm gonna go with the Miami Heat.
Yeah, I go with the Heat as well.
Yeah, can't see the Heat losing that one.
Yeah, I find it difficult for the Heat to lose that one. I mean, like, shoot.
Yeah.
And then Saturday we have Minnesota is at. Sorry, Milwaukee is at Minnesota. Milwaukee is at Minnesota.
That should be actually a decent matchup. The Timberwolves are actually decent now. It's not like previous years where it's like, the Timberwolves are actually decent. But I'm going with Giannis.
Okay, so you going with Giannis. What about you there, Bajan Scout, Alan Pinder?
Yeah, tough one. Yeah, I think I trade T-Wolves on this one.
Okay, so you go with the T-Wolves. I will go with the T-Wolves as well because I feel they're playing home and that they should be able to get an advantage. I know I still stick with them. And then the final game on Sunday is Toronto at Philly. Toronto at Philly. This should be an interesting game.
Yeah.
Toronto is, I think they're 7-4, something like that, right?
Yeah.
I think 6 actually. Yeah, we're on South. You're right. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Toronto is 7th and Philly is 3.
might be a tough matchup.
Yeah, the only thing going against the Raptors right now is I don't think they have the size to deal with Embiid because they run a lot of lineups where they have Siakam, Barnes, and like OG as their 3 front court players, but their defense is still solid. So you know what? I'm gonna go with the Raptors. Show Canada some love.
Okay, so Keelan going with Raptors. I going with Philly. And what about you there, Bajan Scout Alan Pinder?
Yeah, I go to Philly as well.
Okay, so you're going with Philly. So that is the pick 5. And we will see how it goes next time. And we have the Avenger number 1 on assignment. He'll be back next week. And right now, court is set in session, is adjourned.